Look, when we're looking at this we don't look at this through eyes of humans, okay? What I'm saying is you've got to learn how to take yourself out of what you think you're in, even if nothing's wrong. It is. But to step out and say, if I can think evil as shit, and I'm going to create these humans, and when there's a monetary system, in the beginning, they're going to allow all these brands, and, the first 2 generations are really going to flourish, or 3, depending on where you're at, or 4, but the money's percentage-wise, there's going to always be more poverty. That's how you control individuals, when you have a monetary system, and you control them through the environment. And when in the beginning there was physical cash, it's not being taught in the schools. My whole point is the schools were nothing. You can go anywhere and it's going to be just a little bitty school with just a few children. Yeah, man. And now these towns have all the same drive-thrus, same fast food, same garbage. But you have these generations now that the average family, whether it's money or not, there's not going to be a lot of cash being spent. The EBT cards or whatever, or the credit cards. The children see that more, and that's what children see, when the time they want to, just like they're getting rid of the pennies, like, oh, we're running low on pennies, so we're not going, it's stupid. So, they don't teach, you could teach serious math with what the brains are now with just the coins, but they don't have that. They can't even add the change up. That's what these little humans can't do. So in the time being, they're going to create this one thing. They get to vote, fake vote, and eventually they'll say, well, we need to consolidate all of the wealth and we need to redistribute it, blah, blah, blah. Well, the percentage of poverty by then will go along with it, because they were raised generationally, and grown into that. So eventually, what was in the beginning, it's just like anything to these black path magicians that create cultures and human societies. In the beginning, anywhere, it's going to be so nice and all that. And then eventually it's going to consume itself because of the impulses. Black magic is the nervous system. And you control the nervous system through headlines, through newspapers, and teach them read just enough to read that first thing in the morning, and then they're pondering, whether it's being a comet's coming to Earth. Before all this AI technology and stuff, think about the citizens of a town reading that and being in that state of shock and fear all day long, throwing in everything else. And it's a lie. It's just to control them. That's how easy it is. And then now it's the TVs. And then they get you on, oh, well, you might catch something paying with cash. And it's not real. The whole thing's not. And that's the easiest way to really see it. They're pushing this multicultural stuff, and really that's literally the beginning of the apocalypse. Seriously. Because there wasn't any, if you go back and we're looking at this from not human eyes, what we are now as far as our flesh, if that's what you want to call it, there was never any mixing or anything. But that's when you got to get into the different hues of the skin and the flesh, and the zodiac, and the different continents, and the different magnetic field, and how it produces different this, and Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the moon. You gotta understand that they don't have that. They don't even have it in them to even question, like, just anything. It's not real. Look, and here shortly I'll show you by the numbers even more, and then I'm going to be free of all of it, because I'm not, you know, I like I've said, the language is not in this cavity to even try to explain anything of what's going on. And then the understanding or whatever is not going to be in any human being in the receiving end. See you shortly. Love you.